Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the Blindseyepodcast, the podcast discussing everything you did and didn't want to know about being blind. My name is Connor, I'm your host as usual. Today I have something a little bit different. I was speaking to a friend of mine, Kat, about some sports she does. Kat is blind like myself and she's currently doing some yoga and jiu-jitsu, so I thought it would be cool to hear her thoughts about how that all works, especially as I don't really have any experience with either of them. So I hope that will be interesting. I did have some technical difficulties. The internet was playing up for us both. So instead of it being on Zoom, I had to just tape a normal phone call. So apologies for the quality. It's definitely not what I would have wanted, but I really appreciate Kat being a good sport, so I could get speaking to her. Usual disclaimer, these are just my thoughts and experiences and those of whoever it is that I'm speaking to, so please keep that in mind. So I'm just about to switch over now and you'll hear my conversation with Kat.
All right, Kat, thank you very much for speaking with me this morning. So I believe you've told me that you do yoga and jiu-jitsu in a group. I don't know, you've done other sports because we're mates. But I've tried to do yoga before, as I've spoken to you about, but as somebody who's blind, I've always found yoga pretty hard to do without being able to actually see and get the right instructions. So in the group that you're doing yoga and jiu-jitsu with, how does that all work?
So I actually started doing yoga through Guide Dogs Queensland, which was good. So when we joined, we had a yoga instructor and then a Guide Dog Queensland, what are they called, like lifestyle support workers, if that makes sense.
Yep.
So that was pretty good because at the time there was only 4 of us that started, so it was almost one-to-one. So that was fantastic, and they were very good at describing, and it was pretty funny at first. We had some really random moves going on, so it was hilarious apparently to look at.
That's what happened to me. I tried to do yoga once, and then I was like, everybody else was facing forward and I was facing backwards and all this stuff.
Yeah, I can imagine. I think that was what was good about going to a guide dog class because like everyone was in the same boat. So yeah. It was just hilarious. It was good.
I was just going to say, are you doing it on mats? Like, are you actually doing it on yoga mats?
So what they've got there actually, because they do lots of different extracurricular activities, they've got down proper like self-defense floor mats, if that makes sense.
Yep.
So we just do it on there, so we don't need to bring our own mats or anything. So
okay.
Yeah, so it's all supplied, which is fantastic. But it does make it interesting because a few times that me and a couple of others had a few collisions.
Yeah, I kind of, and so like because I know like with yoga, I don't know anything about jiu-jitsu, but I know with yoga, like all the poses have a different name. So like, child pose and mountain pose. So do you guys, do you do it like that? Did you have to learn what each of those things kind of looked like?
We did, and to be honest, I don't know any of us that remember week after week. It's hilarious what we're doing, and she's like, let's do a mountain pose, and everyone's like, what on earth is that?
But I mean, do the instructors try and like, will they kind of actually come over and try and, I guess, for lack of a word, bend you into the right shapes to try and give you the idea of what it is you're trying to be doing? Like,
they do, and they break it down step by step. So.
Okay, so like, could you give me an example?
Oh my God, I was trying to think. So like a downward dog, like we'll learn about the whole like bending over and then trying to touch the ground. Like, but do it from your knees. But then if you can do that, then push off the knees so you're standing up like a V shape almost, if that makes sense.
Yep.
And then from there, once you've got that, then it's kind of, if you want to walk your dog, it's kind of moving your feet like you're on a cross trainer. Like, the ones with one leg looking at forward, the other one's bent behind you, and you swap over. So yeah, it's just stuff like that if you can do one bit, then you can add the next section to it. So it's not just like, let's go ahead and do a downward dog. It's kind of like, this is what you do to get to that point, which is great.
Yeah, so it's actually explaining like part of the movement to get there.
Yeah.
And so when it comes to, because I know like yoga, I guess is a different story. Like I don't know anything about jiu-jitsu. So how does that all work with the jiu-jitsu side?
Yeah, so that was again just a random thing that I found out. Someone's advertising blind jiu-jitsu, so I was like, oh, go give it a go. But again, I fell in love with it. That was this guy that's so passionate in Brisbane. He had a friend that's totally blind in Sydney that does it. Adam Palmer, I think his last name might be.
Okay.
Don't quote me on that. But yeah, it's a few of us that got along, and again, he does it. What he does, he gets one-on-one. So you've always got your own partner to help you, which is fantastic. And again, he tells you what to do, but then it's all done at your own pace. Like, I remember when I first did it, I was like freaking 20 steps behind everyone else because I could not get what he was trying to tell me.
Yeah. And is the partner sighted or equally like vision impaired or blind?
No, so the partner's sighted in this group. So he's got a pile of different groups that he does, and yeah, they come and volunteer to do it. So he's got like a group for people who are part of the Defence Force, or he's got like a group for kids, and yeah, he's got all these different groups, and he's just so freaking passionate. This guy's amazing.
So he's kind of worked out a way to be able to kind of like teach all different kinds of groups, like with different various like levels of, I guess, communication needs or stuff like that. Okay.
Yeah.
And so, but I mean, with jiu-jitsu, because I literally know nothing about it, so you actually, is it just kind of the fitness side of it? I mean, or is it actually fighting? Because that would be pretty cool.
Yeah. At the moment, it was what I like. We haven't done any fighting, and I'm pretty freaking scared to fight. I'm like, oh my god, as a blind person, how do you know what they're going to be doing? But he's more teaching us on how to break out if someone sort of did a move on you. So it's more like, okay, I'm going to pin you down. Now, how would you get out of this move? So it's kind of not really fighting, but it's more sort of self-defense, I suppose.
Yes. Or like situations maybe where, like, I don't know about you, but sometimes, you know, like you go to get on a train and somebody grabs you, like, to be helpful, but you're like, is this person, you know, about to do something dodgy? And you're like, you know, and then in those situations, you're like, it wouldn't hurt to know how to, like, break out of their grasp. Or
yeah, exactly. Like, I would be shit scared of a fighter. I was like, no. But I also need to be told step by step. I would forget, like, I would just be like, oh, what do we do?
And so you said that they have a branch down here in Sydney, because I might actually have to look, because I don't want to, like, I got the invite to the group, the Facebook group, but I didn't actually, like, from Courtney, but I didn't actually, like, because it's in Brisbane, so it's a bit hard to attend the classes in Brisbane.
I don't think it's a group down there, but a guy, they were just friends for competition, and he just inspired him to start a group in Brisbane. So I don't actually think it's a group in Sydney, but there's always room to start. Yeah, we could always just ask Adam how it ran, but yeah. Yeah, well, it's Adam now.
Well, especially
it's not Aaron.
Just especially the whole kind of self-defense side would be kind of interesting experience to know. Like, it couldn't hurt. And I know some people. I know, like, a guy from America who he does that. Like, he's blind and he goes around, like, talking to people about, like, I guess how to do, like, who are blind, basically, about how to do maybe karate or self-defense. I think his name's Brandon Collins. I don't know if you've come across him.
No.
And he does that because he's like, hey, you know, it's an essential thing to have in your armory just in case you're out and about on the streets. You know, hopefully you never need it, but doesn't hurt to have it.
Oh, I mean, exactly. You know, and that's what I love. Like, there's been times I haven't gone for weeks, and I still go back, and you're still at the same level. Like, everyone's at different levels, but because it's one-on-one, you still fit in. Does that make sense? Yeah. It's not like, oh my god, I'm like weeks behind everyone else.
Yeah,
and that's what I like about it, the way it's structured. That it doesn't really matter what level you come in at.
Yeah. And so, because I know you also as well, like, in terms, I know, like, you're doing yoga and jiu-jitsu at the moment, but I know you've also done, like, other things. So you used to do, was it running you used to do?
Yeah.
So how, like, because, you know, I dread the thought of running when I can't see. I mean, I hated running even when I could see. But how on earth do you run when, like, flat out when you can't see? Like, how does that all work?
Yeah, so I'm a bit lazy. I always made sure it was never a flat out run.
Okay.
So I would do park run, I'd be a little jogger run at the back of the pack, but I'm like, hey, at least I'm still doing it. Or I did triathlon for fun, because again, just like you, I cannot imagine running flat out. I'm like, no. But at least I'm moving. But yeah, so what we did, we had a tether. But I was hopeless. I used to always lose it. So I used to get shoelaces and create my own tethers.
And so you'd be tethered, to a partner or a group, or how does that work?
Just to one person. So you just do one-on-one.
And would that be, and obviously they would be sighted, and
yes,
yeah. And then what is it just a matter then of trying to match your pace and then giving you, okay, there's a bit of a bump here or, whatever.
Yeah, exactly. But again, that can be interesting. We had a few interesting stories. Like when I was doing park run, we were doing 5K. And my guide's like, all right, run, you got to turn right. And I was like, I don't believe her. So then I go to right. So I started to right. I said, oh no, I meant left, because right was the river. And we were so tired. I was like, oh no.
And how often does it happen where somebody says left and you just kind of think, oh, they must mean right? Because I'm so used to having, someone in the public maybe going left and they mean right, and it's very easy to do. I could imagine that would be easy. So yeah, and I suppose do you end up running with the same partners when you click with each other, or does it switch it up?
I try and run with the same partner because I'm particular, and I like to know who I'm running with. And I've done a few community events, a few 5Ks, charity runs and stuff. And for those, I try and always get the same partner.
Yeah, and is that because of obviously the personality sync, but in terms of I guess the way they're communicating what it is you need to know.
Yeah.
In terms of what the terrain is doing and stuff like that.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm one of those people. I like to know that I'm not right at the back of the pack. I don't want to be up front, but to me mentally, I've always got someone in the group that I pick. Because there's always a group of us, and as long as I'm ahead of someone, to me it's a mental challenge. I'm like, okay, I don't care if I'm right at the back or near the back, as long as I'm not last.
Yeah, you don't want to be like that. Oh my God, of course she's at the back kind of thing. Yeah. That's understandable. Oh, well, that's really cool. I really appreciate you talking about it because, I've tried some quote unquote blind sports, but I've never fully indulged in the same way. So yeah, I just wanted to speak to somebody who actually knew something a bit more about it. And yeah, I tried yoga and all that, but I was doing it as a sighted person, as a blind person in a sighted class. So that was just a bit of a tragic ending.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it sounds like there's hope anyway, if you can find the right kind of setup. But it
definitely.
Like they have a cool little setup up there in Brisbane.
There's actually also, I found out for someone else, if you're interested, I can send you the link. There's a YouTube video that heaps of blind people are using, and it sounds like it talks you through yoga poses.
Oh.
I think it's called Yoga of Audrey or something. It's very big in the blind community at the moment. So if you like, I can send you a link.
Yeah, I'd definitely like to check that out. I might even see if I can put that YouTube link up on the podcast Facebook page, just so it kind of gives people an idea of what, how it all works. Because, that's the thing. I suppose after you get used to the idea of what the poses are supposed to be, then you probably sleep. But in that initial learning phase, you're trying to go to the mountain. What the fuck's the mountain? Do the child's pose. Yeah, whatever that means.
Oh yeah.
So, all right, cool. Look, I will let you go, but thanks very much for speaking to me, and I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right, no problem. Bye.
So that was my conversation with Kat. I really appreciate her giving me her time and her thoughts. You never know, you might be hearing from her again in the future. And yeah, again, thanks for bearing with me on the quality and for her bearing with me on that. Hopefully in the future I can find a better solution. But yeah, the internet, what a glorious and terrible thing sometimes. As usual, you can get in touch with me via email. So if you email blindseyepodcast@gmail.com, that's BLINDSEYE podcast@gmail.com. You can tweet me at blindseyepod on Twitter, and you can find Blind's Eye Podcast on Facebook for my Facebook page. In the meantime, thanks very much for listening, and I will catch you next week. Cheers.